Vital. We are so glad that you joined us today. Have a seat, sit back, relax, enjoy the show. I am your host, Shanté R. Roddy. We come here every Thursday at 1 p.m. to share another entrepreneur story. We want to make sure that these stories are inspiring you and empowering you to pursue your dreams, to succeed in your businesses, because we want you to win. We want all of us to win. And so this week we have another guest. Isn't she beautiful? Her name is Gaby Delisme, and she is the CEO of Facing Finances. Welcome, Gaby.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me on the show. I am really just excited to share and be here. So thank you. I love what you're doing. I think it's awesome.
Oh, thank you. But we're so excited that you're here, audience. We see you guys out there. Please hit the like button if you love and support small business. Hit the love button. Drop your questions and comments. If we don't get to your questions during the show, we always follow up after the show. If you're not joining us live, make sure when you come back for the replay, comment #replay. So we're going to get right into it. Gaby, can you share with us a little bit about yourself? What is your business? What do you do, and who do you serve?
Sure. So like Shanté said, my name is Gaby Delisme. I'm the founder and CEO of Facing Finances, which is a company that is focused all on empowering and educating women around our personal finances. So women are set to control 2/3 of the United States wealth by 2020, which is really right around the corner. Yes. But studies show that we would rather talk about death than about money. And a lot of that is because of the complex nature that sometimes we view money. And I'm just here to demystify that and make people more comfortable in talking about your money day to day to achieve the life that you really desire.
I love that. That's why we're all here. We want to live the life that we desire. And And I'm with you on the money thing and the building wealth and the role that women play in it. So I really want to delve into that. So how long have you been in business?
So I have actually been in the finance space for close to 19 years now, but I opened up my own company in 2014, and that was not something that was planned. I really thought I was going to be in corporate America for really the duration of my career, but this was a pleasant surprise. It's taken a lot of work along the journey in like running my own business, but it is rewarding to see and hear people like accomplishing their goals. You know, actually seeing folks go from not believing that they can retire or that they can send their children off to school or that they can take a vacation or something. Seeing them accomplish whatever goals that they specify for themselves is rewarding.
Okay. And can you delve a little bit more into exactly what you do? How do you help women with their finances? Are you a financial advisor? Do you help them with the tax aspect or investment strategies? What is your primary focus?
And a lot of what I do is one-on-one coaching, but I've actually shifted to going into corporations and delivering like lunch and learns as kind of an extension of the benefits department. So I go in and do an actual presentation in front of the staff, and they have an opportunity to ask questions that typically when you're kind of toting the company line, you can't really say. And I am fortunate enough to just be able to share what I know. So I speak from the foundational aspects of creating an actual sustainable and realistic spending plan, which a lot of people call those budgets, but I think budgets sound use the term spending plan all the way to okay, I I am actually thinking that retirement is near. So should I go ahead now? Should I wait? What am I going to receive an additional monies from Social Security if I wait a little bit? So what's in your best interest?
Yes, I love that. So let's talk a little bit more about why specifically. You said you've been in the industry 19 years. I love that. And you turned that from being a gifting into a passion in helping women. Let's talk a little bit more about your passion to work specifically with women.
Specifically, my drive to work with women is because of my experiences. When I was in corporate America, it would be very common for us to receive phone calls from a wife and actually from a widow. So her husband just passed. A grief aspect, you just lost the person that you love. And now you add the element of confusion because you have not been the primary person responsible for your finances. So I started doing presentations. Actually, I want to say in 2001, 2002, started doing presentations at local churches, just sharing what I know, what I have seen, and helping women that way, and then have turned this into, unexpectedly, my own business. So I actually relocated to Florida after my parents were ill. So I became a caregiver, and in that was a huge transition, physically and emotionally and mentally. And so going through that experience just allowed me to see finances from another perspective. Yes, and made me want to work directly with folks on a different level.
Yeah, because women are doing a lot. First thing I just want to say is that when you talked about the death aspect, I don't think people understand. They don't until you experience the death in the family of a loved one and had to be responsible for managing everything around that death and understanding the financial impact, which, like you said, on top of grief, the grief is bad enough. But to not have your finances in order, that person didn't have their finances in order, or you trying to figure out how to manage another person's finances, really complicated. And the more you're prepared for it and have those things in place, all your finances, your wills and trust in place, it makes the process a whole lot easier. So I just want
really does. I agree 100% because we all know like death is part of life,
right?
But we don't compartmentalize it like that. In our brains, we don't structure it that way. So we just, keep moving through life, not preparing for what we know is to come. And that puts us in a bad position when that moment seemingly abruptly comes. So after my transition to Florida, my dad, he actually got a whole lot better and he's doing like really well now. But having had that experience to see that, there are things that we can put in place prior to what we know is to come, gives me a personal perspective that I bring to this, because it was one thing when I was having the conversations with the widows. Now I'm a daughter who's like potentially got to deal with this stuff. So all of that kind of has helped in my role.
Yes. And so that's the second thing that I want to touch on. As women, I know a lot of us are managing multiple generations of people in our family. And, no slight against men, but for the most part, women are the caregivers in the family. So if a parent or a grandparent gets sick, it's really the woman in the family, from my experience and the experience of a lot of my female friends, that in addition to the finances we're managing, now we're managing our household, plus we're managing the finances of our parents and their dealings and their health. which is all tied to finance because healthcare is expensive.
Exactly.
Some people don't have a plan for when they get sick, right? They don't have a long-term health care plan. They don't, and we don't know when something is like that is going to happen. But being in the position where you have to take responsibility for a parent or another loved one, it can add to that financial burden.
Exactly, and it does. It adds it to the financial burden as well as the things that we already go through on a mental and emotional space.
Right.
Right. So, and then what you were describing, that's the sandwich generation. So you've got me here, and then you've got children, and then you've got your parents. It feels like you're sandwiched into taking care of so many people, and the caregiver must find time to care for him or herself as well.
Yes. So how would you, or what tips would you offer, even if you want to talk about how you assist a woman in this type of situation? Because like you said, I've been through it, you've been through it. What helped is that at the time I had my financial, I was financially healthy, and my mom got sick, but it was so short between that and her death. And she had her paperwork in place. But even with that said, there were still challenges. So what tips would you offer us to be in a better position financially to prepare for these types of situations that we know are going to come? It's not a matter of if, it's when.
Right. So I would definitely say to start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. So the first thing that you want to do is you absolutely have to assess where you are, and creating a spending plan allows for you to do that. It allows for you to say, oh, I thought I was spending $50 a month on eating out, but here I am spending $100. So now you can kind of pull back and be more mindful and intentional about what it is that you're doing. So create a spending plan. And then, so you've got your spending plan. I would say sit down and actually speak to your loved ones. What are their wishes? How do they want things handled? Have a conversation before someone gets ill, so they don't feel like it's kind of creepy that we're having this conversation right now, that, I'm sick now, because they have to be ready as well. So have a conversation with your loved ones, and then start actually setting goals to hit whatever those targets are. So what is it that you're trying to achieve? And then set the goal, be specific about it. Yeah, I use SMART goals. So be specific, make it measurable. It's got to be attainable. It's got to be relevant, and it's got to be time bound. The time bound factor is something that a lot of times folks don't really consider. But if you don't set a timeline to it, you're just, the likelihood of you achieving it decreases if you don't hold yourself to a timeline.
Wow. Okay. So I believe in the SMART goals. So you want to make sure that you're setting those goals. And time is so sensitive, right? And it's fleeting. We don't have a lot of, it's so valuable.
It really is.
The time that we have is so valuable, and it flies by before we even know it. And then all of a sudden something is upon us.
Right.
So go ahead.
And a lot of times you hear people say time is money. Actually, no, because money you can always get back.
Yes.
Once that time is gone, it is gone. You cannot replenish it. You cannot replace it. That's it. So time is more valuable than money.
Yeah.
Within the right amount of time, you can actually re-earn that money.
Now, since I love the spending plan language. I know, and you can tell me if you agree. Just from my experience, I find that a lot of women are challenged, or people in general, with budgets or spending plans because they lack discipline. And so, what are some recommendations that you would offer to help people who may struggle with, being disciplined in these areas, to be able to stick to a budget?
So I would recommend keeping your goals in front of you. And I use my phone for a lot of things. You can create a screensaver that always has your goals listed. So make sure you keep those in front of you, because when you are vacillating between buying something that you shouldn't versus putting the money towards your investment account, then looking at your goals will help you refocus. And then doing constant check-ins with yourself and an accountability partner. It is so much easier when you have like-minded individuals. So let's say you've got a girlfriend that you know needs to also be about her wealth building business. Talk to her, and both of y'all set up an investment account, and y'all become each other's accountability partner along your journey to invest and learn about investing and build wealth.
Love that. That is a great recommendation. And I put that up for our audiences. I think that's so important that I think that's part of building relationships and having a support system, having people that, like you said, are supporting you and your dream, that wants the best for you, right? And that you can do this together. You can do it together. So maybe you have a harder time doing it by yourself, but if you have that person, you're pulling for each other and holding each other accountable, it's going to help you be a lot more successful. So
I agree.
Absolutely. Thank you for that tip. So I just wanted to circle back, and I love this topic, so we're going to stay on this, but I just wanted to go back to just about you and your story, and your transition from corporate to being having your own business. Did you experience any challenges? Or have there been any challenges that you have been able to overcome during this process?
There have definitely been challenges. So I've gone from an environment where I have an assistant and a whole office staff, right? And when you are setting up your own business, typically you're doing everything yourself. And I'm fortunate to have my sisters who are part of Delisme Enterprises that also help me with really everything. But you are the person that is responsible for making sure that your check gets signed. So that is a whole additional level of responsibility. It has forced me to become a better networker, because we talked about relationships as it pertains to accountability in this entrepreneur, because it can be lonely. I read a study that entrepreneurs are like the loneliest out there. They battle with anxiety, depression, isolation, all of this stuff. So it's important to have people that you can actually look to say, okay, so this person can do it, I can do it as well, because God has no respect of people. So if this person can get it and get it done, then so can I. I just need to keep pushing, and I need to stay in tune. And so along the journey, my journey with the peaks and valleys that I've experienced, I have found it so important to maintain my relationship with God, so I know that it's not about me at the end of the day. It is so much bigger.
That's good. That's good. So I wanted to just ask you also, with that being said, is there anything that you would do differently if you could start over?
I would probably have gotten help earlier on. So I think for me, I've got my MBA. I kind of know what a business should look like. I think I kind of know what I'm doing. I've been in this space before. No. Running your own shop is completely different. So I would have sought the help or guidance of someone who's been in business like for, a minute and done well at it earlier on. That's definitely something that I, seek wise counsel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you had mentioned a short while ago about how you started out with like one-on-one coaching, and now that you're going into corporations. I love the fact that you said that is because businesses, as entrepreneurs and business owners, we evolve.
Yes.
We evolve personally, and our businesses evolve.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just wanted you to talk a little bit about the evolution of your business and what took you from doing the one-on-one to then venturing off into corporate America, because there are so many opportunities. You're not just restricted to doing one thing in your business.
Right. Yes.
So now you've expanded past the one-on-one. Now you're able to share your gift with even a broader audience. So talk about that with us.
And that has just been like a natural evolution within my business. And I love doing the one-on-one coaching. And in terms of building a sustainable business that's making a huge impact, it wasn't sustainable for me. So I looked at how I could get the greatest impact and still touch people. So still have like that interaction with folks. And really it came through going to corporations and being like that extension of their benefits department and talking about personal finance, because there's a gap there. Within corporations, there are providers that do go in and talk about like the 401k plans, right? But they've got to tote the company line. They don't go really into like your spending plan, into the fact that some of this is emotional, into the fact that men are really outpacing women in terms of how they are investing. And why is that? Because women don't necessarily feel comfortable or informed enough about investing. So we shy away from it. They don't go into the things that make us women, the fact that we bring an emotional aspect to what we do. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important to be mindful of the fact stuff, the fact-based data, but also remember that everyone in the audience doesn't have the same experience. There are also like ethnic components to investing as well. Minorities tend to be more risk averse, so we don't take on as much risk as our Caucasian counterparts. So there are things that aren't discussed and that aren't covered, and I think those things that aren't talked about, those are the things that become problematic and are potentially landmines for people.
Yeah, as I hear you talking, and you're so right, just based on my experience, I haven't seen it. So that there's definitely a need. Mm-hmm. And not only is there a need, but I think helping companies to understand the value of women and the impact of this education for women to actually help benefit their company.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people, like you, and I tell people how to leverage the benefits of their organization, but so many people don't even know about the benefits and how they're beneficial to them. And I mean free benefits, and I mean matching benefits. So if you can educate people, right, to help them grow, well, they will then be more likely to take advantage of the offerings of the company.
Absolutely. And that education, it's kind of like speaking to a person where they are so they can really understand. Because I can say something in one audience and it resonates with them, and say it to another audience and they don't get it. So we've got to be able to speak to the actual audience. And I think a lot of corporations are missing that mark. And then when you go into, when you look at the morale within their workforce, when you look at the productivity, their effectiveness, it's low because the people are focused on the fact that they're living paycheck to paycheck.
You're so right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're so right. I think if they could understand that.
Yes.
Because I know this is to be true. And I try to tell them, your people on the job, they're not productive. They're on the phone. Why? Because they are manning crisis that they can only deal with during the day, during the 9 to 5.
Exactly.
When you're dealing with what can be done with whatever you're dealing with is usually between 9 and 5 when businesses are open at the same time that you're working.
Exactly. And so
they're going to get it done.
Yeah, because so they've mentally checked out of the office so they can take care of the personal
issues. Yeah.
But if there was a way where all of it kind of worked together, and I think that's how it's supposed to be. All of it works together. This serves all areas of my life, so I can be a complete human being, not so I can just go to this job for this 8 or 7 or 9 hour day and then go check into where I want to be. And with talking about expenses and folks focusing time during the workday, the overwhelming majority of emergencies can be resolved with $500, but not the overwhelming majority of the population does not have $500 in savings.
Right.
So folks get into these payday lending situations, putting stuff on credit cards, not paying it off. Interest is accumulating. It's this cycle. And so if the employer is able to say, you know what, let's put a program in place to help remedy some of the things that are going to impact our bottom line, things can get better.
Yes. I love that. I love that. I think that is so key. And I hope every company you go into implements this program, because I think it's so needed. So the thing I wanted to ask you next is, we talked about your challenges. What has been like your greatest success thus far in your business?
My greatest success, I would say, is the amount of time that I'm able to reclaim, so to speak. And I have a niece and nephew, they're twins, and building up a business that allows for me to really be there when I'm with them, 100% mentally checked in, playing, doing whatever it is that we are doing. Instead of focused on that email that I need to respond to, or that voicemail, or whatever it is, taking care of a fire that's potentially going on, building my practice to where it allows me the freedom to spend family time. I would definitely say that's my biggest accomplishment. Because at the end of the day, that's what's important to me, the family time with my loved ones. And my company allows for me to do that.
That's good. That flexibility to in that you're there and you're present.
Yes.
And I think that's what all of us want in our businesses.
Yeah.
Right? To be able to have that freedom. and time freedom and financial freedom to spend time with our loved ones and do the things that we want to do in our lives. One thing that I wanted to ask you is about wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that there's a wealth mindset?
There is absolutely a wealth mindset because there's a poverty mindset. So that constantly thinking of lack, that's the poverty mindset. The wealth aspect is really embracing. So I am a believer in Christ Jesus. And so I believe that abundant mindset that he is able to do exceedingly abundantly. All of that is part of the wealth mindset. And for so long, a lot of folks have just become accustomed to the living in lack and have started to think that that's normal, and it's really not, because he didn't create us just so we could exist here. He really created us so we could thrive and flourish.
That is so true. I love this. That is so true. So I think a lot, a lot of people need to have that mindset shift. And I think it takes more of us, like you said, just setting the example and providing that education, let people know that this is not normal, that they don't have to just accept this as this is just life. This is how it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
Not to be in a position. I don't know if people really understand that the majority of people don't have $500 in a savings. It only takes one incident.
Exactly. And I think a lot of us we're at this moment where we're experiencing this awakening. And I think it's important that as we're understanding what this really means for future generations, teaching them. I was having a conversation with someone not too long ago who also has a business and a son. I'm like, well, you can put him on your payroll, pay him, and that's a write-off for your company. That's a deductible expense. And then also you give him an opportunity to understand what earning monies looks like, and then take it a step further. Set up a Roth IRA for the person. I think her son's like 5 or 6 years old. Set up a Roth IRA, allow for him to get this growth on these monies, and teach him about this stuff. So he's earning the money, but then he's also investing it. So because investing is different than saving. So we save, in that money, you keep that money safe, so to speak. But then you also invest so you can earn a greater return on those monies.
Yes.
And so it's important to teach the generation that is coming up this stuff that we are experiencing now, that we're becoming aware of.
Yes. I think diversification is key. It's good to have a savings, but you don't want your money to just be sitting there. Mm-mm. You want your money to make more money.
You right? Do.
So yes. We need to invest.
And I talk about Netflix all of the time. So who has a Netflix account? Everybody raises their hand. Now, who owns some Netflix stock? And then no hands in the room go up.
Right.
So it's important that we shift from this consumer mindset to a wealth building investor mindset. Am I being a responsible steward of what I have been entrusted to? Because I should be getting some sort of return on what I have been entrusted with.
That's good.
Yeah. And it's sad to say that we really don't, not enough of us think that way. And then like I see folks taking their kids to the bank with them, and I get so happy and excited because they're actually allowing that child to get an experience at the bank with them. So the first time they go into a bank is not when they're like 18, 19.
Right.
You know, teaching them all along the way.
Yeah, that's so key. That's what my parents did. Taught us about money early on, but for most people, they did not. But having them actually participate in the process does so much for them. And you want to prepare them. You don't want them to be 18 just trying to figure out how to work with money.
Right. Because then they're so behind.
And I remember a time, and they've since made it illegal, to my understanding, is like when I was in college, when I had first went to college, all the credit card companies was right there. They were giving credit cards to 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds. And you don't know anything about money. This credit card that they gave you looks like free money.
And I will tell you, I graduated college with 21 credit cards.
Oh, wow.
What do you need 21 credit cards for? And I was a finance major. I didn't have one personal finance class, but I had a whole bunch of those t-shirts and cups and all that stuff they give you when you sign up for the credit cards. So that is a situation that could have been disastrous. So I love going in and speaking to college students as well about the dangers of using credit card debt.
Yes.
There's a place for everything.
Yes. So you had mentioned before, I wanted to just circle back on when you mentioned about married women. Let's talk about married women for a second. Because it is so true. And I hear it from women I know in the financial industry, whether they do insurance, wills, financial planning, that the husband dies. And then the woman has no clue, like, about anything with the finances, where any of the insurance policy, or that he even took out one or decided not to get one, and they thought he had one, and come to find out he didn't. All of these to me are such sad stories that they were not more involved. So how can we as women, let's start with married women, be more empowered financially to have control over the finances, especially if you're married, even if the husband or your partner handles the finances, you should know what's going on in the finance. So how can we be more empowered as married women?
I would definitely, and this is speaking from a non-married woman who does plan to be married one day, I would ask questions. And everyone does, well, not everyone, but date nights are very popular. I would say let's do a money talk night where we just focus on our finances, because it gives you an opportunity as a couple to make sure you're on the same page, and an opportunity to talk about where you as a couple are trying to go. So open, honest dialogue about your finances. And by the way, this actually starts even before you get married. So in that dating phase where you know that this is the person you're going to be married to, y'all need to be having these conversations around your finances to make sure that there are no surprises. But just making sure that y'all communicate, and that means listening with a receptive heart and speaking in a manner in which the person who's hearing it is going to be able to receive whatever is being shared. Because communication is huge, and finances are a major cause for so many divorces.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. So just being able to let that be something that is just easy for y'all to talk about. Yeah.
I'm glad that you said that before, because we want to address this before we actually get married.
Yeah, exactly.
And having conversations that we're in relationships and we're not being really intimate. Like we're afraid to talk about things that are important.
Yeah.
Like money.
And so that fear like blocks us from doing what we know we need to be doing. We know we need to be having these conversations. We know we need to find out, well, are we covered? Do we have a policy? Where's the policy? Where's the information? And just allowing that fear to be set aside and operate in faith as you move forward. So set the fear aside, because our minds, when that fear is there, our minds will conjure up all of these scenarios, and we don't even know that they are really what's going on.
I love that. Set the fear aside. We're operating in faith.
Yes.
Okay. So the next thing I wanted to ask you is specifically related to your thoughts or recommendations where in regards to women as entrepreneurs and business owners. Are there any tips or thoughts that you can offer us so we can be better stewards with our money as business owners?
With our personal finances, we've got to have a spending plan, right? And so no successful business runs without a plan of operation. So the business needs to also have a budget and a plan that allows for you to think forward 5 and 10 years down the line, because most companies close within the first 5 years. So if you don't, and a lot of that is because of cash flow. So improper planning for the finances, excuse me. But if we allow for ourselves to understand, excuse me, let me take a sip of water. Pardon me. But if we allow for ourselves to understand where we are financially and where we're trying to go, you're more likely to be successful.
Yeah.
And then as women, I know that we do seek help going to your resources like SCORE, the Small Business Development Center, just tapping into resources that are available to you.
Yes.
And women are actually opening up businesses at a far greater rate than men. And at the same time, women are not making nearly as much money as men are in their businesses. So
you're right.
It's important to understand your business, understand your market, understand your pricing. Make sure that you are not devaluing yourself and the services that you're offering or the products that you're offering. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that answers my question. Those are key points. Because I say that all the time. Do not devalue the products and services that you are offering. That is so important. And I know we do that a lot. And I just know, again, from experience, minority women do it a lot. Yeah. So I'm constantly on them, like, you need to up your prices. Whatever you think your prices are, they're already too low. Okay. They are. And then, go ahead.
I was going to add, I also think that is a factor of our confidence within ourselves. So if we become better informed about the industry that we're in and about our business as a whole, we're more likely to be more confident in what we're offering, but also our pricing too, so we can price things accordingly and make sure that we can build something that can leave a legacy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you are so right in the fact that women are leading in entrepreneurship. So, ladies, if you did not know that, we are some powerhouses, but we also have some barriers. Like, we are very significantly behind as far as profiting in our business. Okay, I think over 80% don't generate over $100,000 in their business and revenue. That's not even talking about profit. And so we know that there's a disparity or inequity around capital funding for us women. So look, that just brought me to another point. How important do you think it is for us women to work together?
Oh my goodness.
Owners.
It is like gravely important. You just mentioned the venture capital monies. So women, we're opening up businesses at a far greater rate than men, but only receiving less than 2% of all venture capital money. And that's right. All women combined. So then when you look at minority women, that number is even lower. So it is highly important for us to be willing to collaborate where, of course, it makes sense. And forming alliances, forming strategic partnerships that will allow for us to move the needle forward, to really make an impact. Because again, if we look at it like, I am an island, this is all about me. I'm just trying to get my slice of the pie. We're missing the bigger picture, because what we do collectively can have such a profound impact on the world. And then there's an African proverb that says something to the effect of, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go with many. And so, ladies, I work with my ladies to make sure we collectively can break through doors, break ceilings, and tap into, I believe, what it is that we're supposed to be doing to serve this world.
That's good. Look, we're like-minded. You're speaking my language right here. Okay. We can do it, but we must work together, lady. Form alliances. Yes. Where it makes sense, collaborate, partner with each other. Be a referral for another woman.
Yes.
Right? Open up a door, provide a recommendation for another woman.
Exactly.
Okay? So we can get a lot further that way. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Because there is so much opportunity out here. So when you approach it with a closed fist, just everything that you're trying to keep in for yourself also prevents things from coming into you. Whereas that free flow, you sharing, people sharing, all of this allows for everyone to prosper.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And that's what we want. We want all of us to prosper.
Yes.
Prosperity is available to all of us.
It really is.
So we don't need to hoard.
My goodness.
Hoard information, hoarding knowledge. No, be a giver. Be a giver. And it's going to come back.
It is. It absolutely. It always comes back. And it's not a good look to be a hoarder. I don't know if y'all have seen that show Hoarders. Yes. I've caught a couple of episodes. You go into those homes, they look like some place where you don't even want to go into because you don't know what you're walking into. Imagine someone's mind or heart being like that, an emotional or information hoarder. That is not something that you can actually thrive from, because you're blocking your own blessings.
Yes. That's good. Okay, so I have two more questions. So the first one is, what 2 tips would you offer our audience for being a successful entrepreneur? What would they need, in your opinion, to be successful?
I would say be open to continuously learning. So position yourself as a life learner. We've got like libraries all over the place, books, magazines, YouTube. Just be a life learner. So absorb everything that you can as you learn your business. And then once you've figured everything out, continue to learn about leadership, finances, everything, so you can continue to grow and evolve yourself. And so that's the first tip. And then the second tip I would say is definitely stay connected to God. We all have a reason for being here. So identifying your purpose, and I would imagine that's your business. So tapping into him constantly to make sure you're not missing stuff that he's trying to put in front of you, that you're not in your own way. So staying connected just allows me to see clearer, to hear clearer, and stay connected to your higher source as well.
That's awesome. Very good tips. Very good tips. Thank you so much. And I have one final question for you that I ask all of my guests. Yeah. If you had a magic stick and you could change anything in the world, what would that be?
If I could change anything in the world, I would say the conditions of girls across the world, because girls really do impact families, impact communities, impact cultures. So changing how girls are treated in some countries, how girls are viewed, their limitations on education, to make this space really even for both girls and boys, to allow for the things that inherently make a young lady, a woman, allowing that stuff to flourish within them so they can rightfully position themselves in this world and then continue to make an impact.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much. We have enjoyed having you on the show. I'm going to ask you, first I'm going to ask you, make sure you stay on with me after the show. But I want you to share with the audience again who you are, what you do, and who you serve, where they can find you.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me. I have really enjoyed this. So thank you. And again, my name is Gaby Delisme, and I can be found on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter and actually YouTube as well at Gaby, Gaby, last name Delisme, Delisme. And I'm with Facing Finances, a financial education company that is really demystifying financial concepts so we as women can rightfully operate sound and well-managed homes and businesses. And you can find us at Facing Finances as well. So Facing Finances on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook also. Awesome. Or the website is www.facingfinances.com.
Awesome. And again, thank you so much, Gaby. We will have Gaby leave her information for you guys in the comments of this live broadcast. We so appreciate you guys for joining the show. Like we said before, please catch the replay. Gaby provided so much knowledge. She dropped so many nuggets to really help women. So I encourage you to share this broadcast out so we can impact more women entrepreneurs. Again, we want to have you on our show. So if you are entrepreneur business owners and you have a story to share that can change lives, we want to have you on the show. We have a few more openings in July, and we have openings in August. So we encourage you to go on our website, which is www.intuitiveriskmanagement.com, and apply. We do also have opportunities for sponsorships. You can also apply via the website as well. So we will be back next week. So we want you to tune in next week, Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's when we broadcast live every Thursday. You also visit the show page. We have prior live recordings available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So if you need to be inspired, motivated, re-energized, empowered with knowledge, resources, and tools, you can find it here through your fellow entrepreneurs and business owners who have shared a wealth of information through sharing their stories. So again, we thank you for tuning into our show. We will see you next time. Until then, continue to pursue your dreams. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a great day.